Hello everyone, I'm Domen Ivanšek, Technical Customer Support Representative in Knauf Insulation Slovenia, and today I would like to present you our practical experiences with the design and construction of Slovenian first DGNB Platinum certified sustainable building. This building is called Knauf Insulation Experience Center, and it is located at our headquarters in Škofja Loka, Slovenia. It's a demonstrational and presentational building with the purpose of business activities, event activities, and most importantly, educational activities in the fields of thermal insulation solutions, sound insulation solutions, fire safety, sustainable constructions, and building materials. It is meant for the professional and public, regardless of Slovenian or international background. But for the beginning, I would like to show you a quick introductory video for you to get a grasp what's about this project. Yeah, no. Okay. So first you will see the construction time-lapse. The building itself is made of cast reinforced concrete in the front end. And prefabricated reinforced concrete elements on the larger back end. The external walls between the reinforced concrete elements are filled with brick masonry, so that's a healthy and non-flammable material. And the building itself has 3 floors, so ground floor, first floor, and a smaller second floor with the green roof on top. Gross floor area of the building is 832 square meters, so it's not a really large building, but anyways it's really diverse by its architectural structure. The entire envelope consists of 6 different facade structures, facade build-ups, and 3 different flat roof build-ups. You'll see a little bit more later. Okay, so this was a short video. The building is located between industrial complex on the left side and residential area on the right side. So it represents a mild obstacle, visual and sound obstacle between a little bit noisy industrial complex and residential area. As you have seen in the video, on the ground floor we have so-called demonstration experience. So this is a larger room, like a workshop, where we can make and have trainings and practical demonstrations of the correct installation of insulation materials and drywall construction. On the first floor we have digital experience rooms. There's one conference room and classroom divided by the movable wall. If we remove the wall, we get one larger event room for about 120 attendees. And on the second floor we have access to the so-called green experience. This means extensive green roof system, urbanscape, green wall, as you have seen in video, and some other landscaping solutions as well. The build-up of the flat roof is made of 28 centimeters of rock mineral wool thermal insulation with waterproofing, of course, and extensive green roof system urbanscape on top of it. There are, as mentioned, 6 different facade build-ups on relatively small building. The frontal curved facade is made of curved aqua panel cement boards cladding and 25 centimeters of glass mineral wool slabs. Then we have dark and bright ATEX facade with 20 centimeters of rock mineral wool and ATEX facade system made from Knauf Insulation, Germany. Then we have ventilated Heraclit facade with Heraclit cladding and also 20 centimeters of rock mineral wool insulation. Trimo panel facade, which is also insulated with 24 centimeters of core rock mineral wool insulation, and another ventilated metal cladded facade on the second floor. The architecture of the building itself is also demonstrational. So we try to show as much systems as possible from the Knauf group, Knauf Insulation and Knauf IMF, with the adjoined partners such as Sika, Velux, Zemelrock, Alukonik, Stahl, Zumtobel and others. The glazing is free layered, low E. We have mechanical ventilation with heat recuperation, and the energy class of the building is A2, so according to Slovenian energy certificate. And this is a near zero energy building. So why is it so special? Actually, this is a quite pioneering pilot project, at least on Slovenian construction market, because it's the first building that was certified according to DGNB sustainability scheme in Slovenia. It's also the first project in Slovenia that was certified according to another sustainability scheme, Active House, and also first project and one of the first pilot projects in the whole Europe that is also going to be assessed according to new European sustainability assessment framework called Levels. It's also a pilot project for Slovenian Ministry of the Environment and Spatial Planning because when we talked about sustainability assessment so much, they're really interested to observe our process from the beginning to the end. And if I may quote Mr. Sasha Golonia, the Knauf Insulation pilot project represents a reality check for the application of new sustainability requirements in our country. And last but not least, the architectural design of the building was also made with the help of BIM methodology. BIM enables and demands interdisciplinary design teams on one model, so changes are seen everywhere. Issues in usually hard to see places are better visualized and presented, so the majority of engineering and architectural work is done earlier in the design process, and this fits perfectly with the sustainable approach to the building design. We were, as investors, glad to have virtual walkthroughs through the buildings early in the design phase, even before we even started the construction. So we were able to better visualize the building itself, and even started to design the interior and workplaces really early. So that was really helpful from the investor point of view. And of course, we already have several years now our own BIM libraries, so we could use them in the BIM model to have all the technical data of the building materials in one place. So if we jump to the sustainable buildings now, why do you think do we need them? What do we need them more? You probably heard this before in the last 2 days. In Europe, buildings produce huge amounts of CO2 emissions, 40% of energy use in Europe, and generates a third of all waste during the construction and also with the demolition. If we add to that that every month global human population on the earth grows by 7 million people, and that over the half of the world population nowadays live in the cities or mega cities, we can face a huge problem. Soon enough, we can have a limited number of resources for our future generations. So it is a must that we start acting now, because we don't have a luxury of time to procrastinate any longer. So what exactly is sustainable building? Well, according to the general definitions, the sustainability of the buildings is achieved by providing 3 main pillars. So this is society, economy, and environment. So the sustainable construction could be described as dramatically reduces the environmental impact of a building over its entire lifetime, while providing healthier and more comfortable living and working environments, together with greatest focus on long-term affordability. So not just the cost of investment, but also and every time long-term. And of course, it should be an integrated and innovative approach to achieve sustainable development and sustainable construction. So to start early in the design phase and to have as interdisciplinary planner team as possible. You all probably know this diagram. The more changes we do in the early design phases, the more cumulative project cost impact do we have. We knew that we can achieve sustainable building with our materials, with our product solutions, so Knauf insulation, and partners as well. But we didn't know how sustainable building can be built. There are many sustainable buildings across the world, even in Slovenia on the our market, but we just can't tell how sustainable they are. How can we compare them? We were looking for some general, some national, or maybe international scheme or assessment method, which is provided, let's say, by a government. But at that time we couldn't find it. So we were thinking about using one of the 4 most common green building rating schemes in the world, which are third party. Those are American LEED, British BREEAM, French HQE, and German DGNB. Because DGNB was one of the most detailed ones, we decided to go with this one. So DGNB is a German sustainability scheme. It's a non-profit and non-governmental organization developed 10 years ago. Here we also had a lucky coincidence. We have one DGNB auditor in Slovenia. Auditor is the level 3, so the highest assessor for DGNB. That was Mr. Robert Smodiš, who also cooperated in large amount in this project. The main architect in Proti Maržišnik Perc, Ms. Petra Spajic, was also DGNB consultant, so level 2 assessor. And from our investor point of view, I was DGNB registered professional, so level 1 assessor at that time. So there was a good cooperation between us. DGNB DGNB puts equal emphasis on three main pillars, not only environmental quality, economic quality, and social quality, but also technical quality, process quality, and quality of location. So we have around 60 different sub-criteria where you have to do different design approaches, different calculations and other methods, and you gather some points. And the end result of DGNB sustainability scheme assessment is a cake diagram as the one you see on the right-hand side. This is the actual result of our project. The more colorful, the more it's filled with colors, the better the result. If we look a little bit closer into those qualities, and if we start with environmental quality, there are quite a lot of specifics in comparison to the traditional construction and design approach if we do it just regularly by normal national legislation. According to DGNB, you have to choose ecologically impeccable building materials with all additional properties. DGNB has so-called blacklist of building materials which could be in one way or another a little bit hazardous to the health. So let's say some paints can have quite high amounts of volatile organic compounds, so VOCs, or maybe formaldehyde, or they have heavy metals and other potentially dangerous substances. So the DGNB scheme divides them into 4 different groups, level quality group 1, 2, 3, and 4. We decided to go only with the building materials in 2 highest levels, quality level 3 and 4. And the mandatory documents that you need to procure in this process is not only technical data sheets, but also safety data sheets, environmental product declarations, VOC content reports, heavy metal reports, boron content, biocides, and different kinds of additional documentation, which is usually not really published on producers' websites as technical data sheets and similar documents, but you really need to dig them up. So that took quite a lot of time because market here in Slovenia is still not really mature in this level, if I may say this. But I hope this will get better in time. Also, mandatory is to make LCA analysis. Of course, if we want to have correct results, we need to use as much environmental product declarations as possible. In economic quality, it's mandatory to do LCC analysis, which is also something that we are not used on the regular daily basis in construction. That's a cost analysis over the entire life cycle. And in addition to the initial financial investment, it also includes cost of operation, maintenance, cleaning energy, and drinking water throughout its lifetime. The flexibility of a building is also assessed, flexibility of installations, possibilities for future change of use of the building, and marketing and renting, all that is taken into account and calculated. Interesting result of our LCC analysis was that a net present value of operational cost for cleaning in the whole lifetime of the building, that's 50 years, is about 8%. And the total value of operational costs for energy consumption is only 5%. So we came to the situation that nowadays we build so well insulated buildings that we pay more for cleaning in the whole life cycle of the building than for the energy itself. And I need to say that we have a heat, so-called waste heating, because we get heat from our production line, so it's actually waste heat and it's free for us. But for this calculation, we need to give it a cost. If we would calculate the real expense, it would be just 2.5% for the energy. So actually, in this building, we will pay 3 times more for cleaning than for the energy itself, which is quite interesting. And that's why we changed the design of the building a little. almost all the lights are built into the ceilings, so there's no dust on them. All the furniture is built in on the walls. A lot of tables could be folded and hidden behind the closets on the walls, so there is a reduced cleaning cost. Social, cultural, and functional quality is also really important in DGNB scheme. The building should be designed and constructed in a way that offers high thermal comfort, of course, high acoustic comfort. So we needed to make additional room reverberation times. The ordinary ones, according to our national legislations, wasn't enough, and you need to do adequate sound absorption surfaces. Visual comfort was also really important. We made several daylight factor analyses, simulations of artificial lighting, glare protection calculations. A lot of this that is not really mandatory yet in Slovenian legislation. So it's 1 or 2 levels more advanced and more demanding than current Slovenian national legislation. You need to have easy-to-use controllers, high adjustment possibilities to have a really sustainable building. The really important factor is unlimited accessibility for handicapped people, so that's why we have special tiles that guide visually impaired people safely to the entrance of the building. We have rails on 2 sides and on 2 levels, on the staircases, and much more. Safety and security is, of course, of really great importance for the sustainable building as well. And really important thing here, you need to do indoor VOC and formaldehyde content measurements in the end of the construction. That's really important. It was, as far as I know, the first building in Slovenia where we did these measurements. When the construction is complete, you have up to 4 weeks time that you make special measurements. I contacted 11 institutes in Slovenia who are registered for this service, but they don't really do those services according to the EN standard 16001. So that's why we ordered a service from a German agency, and quite frankly it was actually 4 times cheaper than the only offer that we received from Slovenian Institute. They came here with a suitcase like that, and there are some pumps here in the suitcase. They took 2 hours to gather the air samples into the pumps, and then they needed 2 months in German laboratories to assess, to analyze those samples of air. To 128 volatile organic compounds and formaldehyde. And the trick is, you only have 1 chance to pass this test. So, if when design is over, when the construction is over, you get after 2 months, when everything is complete, the result that values are beyond the set limit, it's off, you don't get the certificate. So that was really important. And that's why we were really careful when choosing all the materials which we built into the building, all the way to the formwork oil. We chose special, really environmentally friendly formwork oil to really take care of the VOC measurement, because we have no clue how sensitive this is. Fortunately for us, we got excellent results. We got the lowest possible levels of VOCs, and no formaldehyde was detected in the indoor rooms of the building. As mentioned, simulations were also really important. The left picture shows the simulation of daylight without 4 roof windows. That was the initial design. After I mean, with the cooperation with Velox, put in 4 additional roof windows, we actually saw that average daylight coefficient was doubled in these rooms, and those rooms are conference room and classroom, so that's really important that you have a lot of daylight. So that was one of the design approaches that really make the whole end result better. We also did a lot of simulations regarding artificial lighting, and not only that you have to prove it with calculations for the DGNB sustainability scheme, you also need to implement the changes. So that's why we put additional LED lights into the rails of the staircases to even get better safety for the visually impaired. In technical quality, of course, high quality external building envelope is necessary with all the calculations regarding condensation risk, air tightness. We have very good thermal and sound insulation, especially impact sound, which was solved with a lot of rock mineral wool floor insulation. Really important is not only that building itself is sustainable, but also that there are implemented measures for sustainable mobility. So that's why we have our own bicycle station and showers for the people who come to the workplace with bicycles. There is a main bus station and train station in near vicinity of the building, and there are dedicated electric vehicle charging stations and parking spaces right in front of the building. So that's also really important when talking about sustainable construction. Of course, flexibility of installation systems, optimize ease of maintenance and cleaning, as we've seen in LCC results. And you also need to take into account what will happen with the materials in the end of the building life. And with process quality, there is a huge emphasis of including sustainability aspects and goals in tenders, especially in tenders for contractors. Because you really need to tell them what are the specialities of such building and what do they need to be careful about. There is also a huge emphasis on construction waste control. Usually we should recycle our construction waste on the site on this project because there was lack of construction site space, and because we know that probably the results won't be really good, we decided that we only have one waste bin, and it is sorted out then in the Loška Komunala company. So it's municipally waste disposal company. Continuous building works.
Excuse me, could you please wrap it up? Could you wrap it up?
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
1 more minute and finish.
Okay, so in the end we achieved the highest possible platinum DGNB certificate. So it's first in Slovenia and also the highest one. There are more than 1,000 certificated buildings across Europe, and the highest one is now also in Slovenia. We also did assessment according to Active House certification scheme. This one is simpler, but it's not really adapted for different types of buildings. And somewhere in the middle of the sustainability assessment process, we find out that European Commission is developing its own sustainable building assessment framework called LEVAS. So we also decided to assess our building according to this framework. Now that's not an Euro certification scheme, but it's meant for mainstream market, and it's on voluntary basis. It's actually quite similar to DGNB. Actually 85% of all the demands and calculation are the same as for DGNB, so as we have already done. There is also need to do LCA analysis, SSE analysis, drinking water use analysis, VOC measurements. And why am I talking about this to you? It's because from year 2021 on, European Commission will, how do I say this, will try to offer this framework to European Union countries to include it in their own national guidelines. So maybe we also get it here in Slovenia in one way, or maybe in a little bit different shape, as with some national parameters. So all in all, as we can see on the normal products on the markets, there's more and more eco-labeled construction products on our construction sites as well. Those are all from our construction site. We as a company are also on this train to ever improve our products with going to the ECO's bio-based technology. So my main points are that most important for the sustainable construction is quality design phase. It's not just about achieving points, but it's having a really good checklist which helps you with the design process. Tender documentation, really important, and explanation to the contractors. Really strict site control is urgent on such building site. It's good that you have a continuous control testing, as we had with infrared camera inspections, air tightness, acoustic measures, which normally wouldn't be done on the regular basis. And there is a little bit of caution, because those sustainability schemes really push use of sustainability certified wood. But here in Slovenia we have actually too much of our own local quality wood, so maybe that's not really a good way for Slovenia to push the foreign wood into the market. And time. For such construction, we should take into account a little bit more time for the design phase and also for the construction phase. So there's a lot of gains for such constructions, but there are also some challenges still ahead of us. Mainly that we should really upgrade the general knowledge and awareness on this topic, that we should take some extra time and resources and input them in such projects, and certain building materials which are demanded by such building schemes are, at least in present, still a little bit hard to get on our Slovenian market. But all in all, positive feedback and really good gains on such sustainable construction assessment. Thank you. And
thank you.